Nobody in that room had any idea who I really was, until my own brother stood up on New Year's Eve and called my entire life worthless in front of the whole family. What he didn't know? I'd been quietly building an empire for 19 years, right under his nose. And that night, I finally decided to show him. Welcome to Dad's Raw Revenge. Get comfortable, this one's gonna sit with you for a while. Drop where you're watching from in the comments. Smash that like if you're already locked in, and subscribe. You're not gonna want to miss how this ends. All right, let's get into it. December 31st, Portland, Oregon. The air outside carried that sharp, damp chill only the Pacific Northwest can deliver on New Year's Eve. We were heading to my Aunt Beverly's place in Selwood, one of those big old craftsman houses with wide porches and real character. The kind of neighborhood where the homes have history and the people pretend they do too. I pulled up around 7:30, killed the engine, and sat there in the driver's seat for a minute. Rain pattered softly on the roof. I gripped the wheel, took a slow breath, and let the familiar weight settle in my chest. I genuinely love my family, but walking into a Tucker gathering on New Year's Eve always feels like stepping into a deposition you know is going to get messy. I grabbed the good bottle of wine from the passenger seat, nothing off the discount rack, and headed up the steps. The wreath on the door looked exhausted, like it had survived one too many seasons. Inside, the house wrapped around me with warmth and noise. Mismatched furniture from 1994 still ruling the place. Christmas lights stubbornly twinkling because Beverly refuses to take them down before February. The smell of roasted ham, spices, and something sweet baking hit me like an old, comforting blanket. The living room was packed with that easy, lived-in chaos families fall into after enough years together. Almost no pretending left, but not quite. I made my rounds and hugged Auntie Beverly tight. She squeezed me with both hands like she always does, checking I was still real. Her perfume mixed with kitchen smells created that specific scent that means safety. "You look thin," she said, pulling back to study my face. I chuckled. "Auntie, I've weighed the same for 15 years. She waved it off. "You look thin." Before I could argue, a plate of food was already in my hand. That's Beverly, words are optional. Food is the real conversation. I wandered into the living room, and there he was, Jay. His laugh always arrives 4 seconds early, big and booming, announcing his presence like a damn trumpet. He stood by the fireplace holding court, wife Donna in a red dress laughing at whatever he'd just said. Cousin Derek nodding along like he'd been practicing that exact motion since 1987. Jay's 6 years younger than me, 45 now, but somehow that makes him the expert on how every man's life should look. He spotted me and flashed that wide grin. "Freddie," he only calls me that in public. I've asked him to stop. He doesn't, because Jay does whatever Jay wants. He clapped a hand on my shoulder, one of those grips that's supposed to feel brotherly but always lands like he's making a point. "Man, wasn't sure you'd show. Figured you'd be home doing whatever it is you do on New Year's, Fred." I kept my voice flat. "Same thing I'm doing right now, standing here talking to you," Derek snorted. Donna gave a polite smile into her drink. Jay clapped my back again and moved on. Never one to sit in an uncomfortable moment. That's always been his gift. Me? I sit in the moments. Always have. The night rolled on the way these things do, plates passed. Drinks refilled. Beverly commanding the room with her loud laugh and making sure no one felt left out. I was actually enjoying myself for once. Should have left at 10, but at 11:50, Beverly started gathering everyone for the countdown. Glasses filled. TV volume went up. That perfect New Year's hush settled over the room. Beverly raised her glass, voice catching as she spoke about family, fresh starts, and the gift of another year together. Everyone smiled. I smiled too. Then Jay cleared his throat. "Just want to add something real quick. Here we go." He stepped forward, glass high, radiating the confidence of a man who's never doubted the room wanted to hear him. He toasted his year-new house in Lake Oswego, strong business, thriving kids. Some of us are really figuring it out. Then he turned, looked straight at me, eyes locking so everyone followed. That easy smile widened. And then some of us are 51 years old, no wife, no kids, still driving that same beat-up car. Nothing really to show for 5 decades on this earth. But hey, at least you showed up, right? Must be tough. The room went dead silent. Not the good kind. The kind where everyone knows something just crossed a line. Beverly's eyes cut to me, sharp with worry. Donna stared into her glass. Derek looked at the floor. Jay raised his glass toward me like it was all in good fun. I'm glad you showed up. The words hung there like a verdict. Something shifted in my chest. Not hot anger. Something colder. Something that had been waiting 19 patient years and finally decided tonight was the night. I set my glass down slow, hands now completely free. Don't worry about me, Jay, I said, voice even, almost bored. I'm doing just fine. He laughed it off and raised his glass again. But inside, a key had turned in a lock. He had no clue about Harriet. No clue about our kids. No clue about the 12-story building with my name on it sitting just 12 miles away. I'd spent 19 years making damn sure of that. Pride is an expensive thing to carry, and Jay had been running up the tab for years. January 3rd, that bill came due. Portland was doing its winter thing, gray skies pressing low, rain falling steady and patient. I was at my desk by 7:15 with my usual medium-dark roast from the Hawthorne spot. Carla had it ready the second I walked in. 11 years of the same order buys you that kind of quiet loyalty. The office was quiet, just how I like it. Our building on the edge of the Pearl District, 12th floor, northwest views that still stop people mid-sentence. Real estate is 70% psychology anyway. 3 calls, a development meeting at 11, and in the back of my mind, Jay's face from New Year's lingered. My phone rang at 9:47. Jay. I let it ring twice, deciding which version of me would answer: the brother, the businessman, or the guy who'd been quietly holding his world together since 2009. I picked up on the third ring. His voice came through, smaller than usual. I could hear him pacing. The Terran contract had completely fallen through. Vendors expecting payments, payroll issues. It was bad. I knew more about his business than he realized. The silence stretched. He admitted he wouldn't call if he had any other options. I kept my tone easy. How much? He gave the number. I didn't flinch on the outside. On the inside, New Year's played on repeat. Come to my office tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Your office? Confusion thick in his voice, like he was updating an old file. I told him I'd text the address. 9 sharp, Jay. Don't be late. He showed up at 9:18. Of course he did. Front desk buzzed up, and I told them to send him straight through. I swiveled my chair toward the door, heart beating steady but loud in my ears. Footsteps first, no big laugh this time, just the heavy shuffle of expensive shoes on polished concrete. Then the elevator dinged on the 14th floor, and Jay Tucker stepped out into the reception area of Tucker & Associates like he'd walked into the wrong building. I watched through the glass wall as it hit him. The wide reception desk with fresh flowers, the original artwork, that floor-to-ceiling northwest view slamming into him like a cold wave off the Columbia. Natalie smiled and said something polite. He nodded, but his eyes were glassy. There it is. I stood, buttoned my suit jacket, and walked out to meet him. Jay looked at me, really looked the way he hadn't in 20 years. His mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Fred, this is... How long have you... Come on back. I led him past the open floor plan. Desks hummed with quiet focus. For Jay, it must have felt like walking through a life he'd completely misjudged. Good. I pushed open the boardroom door and gestured him inside. He stepped through and froze, so suddenly I nearly bumped into his back. Because there, at the head of the long walnut table, sat Harriet. Composed, legs crossed, a cup of tea steaming gently in front of her, leather portfolio open like any other Tuesday. The silence that dropped was so complete, I could hear the rain tapping against the big windows. Jay didn't move, didn't breathe right. Color drained from his face, then rushed back in ugly patches. There she was, the woman he'd dismissed in that Cheesecake Factory parking lot 22 years ago. Too quiet, too simple, not wife material for a guy like him. Harriet looked up, met his stare, and gave that warm, unruffled smile of hers. The one that still hits me in the chest after 19 years. "Jay," she said, voice smooth as river water. "It's been a long time." He whipped his head between me and her. "Fred." "What? How?" Sentences died before they left his mouth. I pulled out the chair across from Harriet and sat, nodded to the one beside him. "Sit down, Jay." He lowered himself like the chair might bite. I opened the folder and slid the first photo across the glossy table. Our wedding day, spring 2005 inches lads edition. Cherry blossoms drifting down like slow pink snow. Harriet in ivory, me in the charcoal suit she'd chosen because she knew I'd pick wrong. Then the second photo, our 3 kids. Russell at 14, already towering over me with that permanent teenage unimpressed look. Nora, 11, sharp-eyed like her mom. Little Davis, 8, built solid like a kid who eats life for breakfast. Jay stared at them so long the room felt smaller. Finally, he looked up, voice gone small and cracked. 19 years. I kept it plain, and you never said anything, not once, to anybody. Harriet spoke first, calm and sure. We didn't feel the need to announce our life to people who weren't paying attention. God, I love that woman. Jay's face twisted, not just embarrassment, something deeper, like the whole story he'd built about me was crumbling in real time. Harriet, he stopped, tried again. I didn't know. I folded my hands on the table and looked him dead in the eye. I know why you're here, and I'm going to help you, because you're my brother, and that still means something to me. He exhaled hard, but first I let the word land heavy. I needed you to sit in this room, in my building, across from my wife, and understand exactly who you were talking to on New Year's. Rain tapped, steady against the glass. Jay Tucker, the loud one, the flashy one, the family favorite, sat there with nothing left in the tank. First time in 51 years. The audacity of that New Year's toast still burned low in my gut, but I wasn't here for revenge anymore. Just truth. Jay kept glancing between the photos, me and Harriet, trying to make the math work. How did you two even... He gestured weakly. I answered flat. 2 months after you ended things with her, we met at a fundraiser in the Alberta Arts District. She spilled coffee on my jacket. I told her it was fine. She didn't believe me. I glanced at Harriet. She smiled softly. Bought me a new one anyway. She does what she says she's going to do. Unlike some people at this table. Jay rubbed the back of his neck, that old childhood tell when he knew he was cornered. Fred, man, his voice dropped. Why didn't you ever tell me? All these years? I held his gaze, calm as still water, because I never felt the need to share my life with people who'd already decided what it looked like. He opened his mouth, closed it. For the first time I could remember, my brother had 0 words. Harriet set her teacup down gently, letting the silence stretch just long enough. Then Jay turned to her, eyes raw. Back then I was? I said things I had no business saying in that parking lot. She answered gentle but firm. I stopped needing your apology a long time ago. I have a beautiful life, a full one. She looked at me, those eyes doing that familiar thing to my chest. Your brother made sure of that. Something broke open behind Jay's eyes. Fred, his voice came out rough. I've been an idiot, not just New Year's. My whole life with you. I let it sit. Then I leaned forward. March 2009. You were 4 months behind on rent. About to lose the apartment, Donna pregnant with your first. You called me at 11 at night. I wired the money by 7 the next morning. His jaw tightened. I kept going. Voice even. You never paid it back. Never mentioned it again. I walked him through 2015 too. The loan the bank wouldn't touch until I guaranteed it personally and called in a 3-year favor. You threw a party, told everyone the bank finally believed in you. I wasn't trying to twist the knife. I'm telling you this because you stood up in Beverly's living room and called my life small. Less than. I needed you to see what less than actually looks like. Jay sat there, completely silent. Harriet closed her portfolio, stood, smoothed her jacket, and kissed my cheek. I've got a 10 o'clock. She gave Jay one last look, not unkind, just finished. Take care of yourself. We watched her walk out. When the door clicked shut, Jay turned back. His eyes were wet, not full tears, but closer than I'd ever seen from him. "Fred, I've been an idiot my whole life, haven't I?" I gave a dry half-smile. "You've had your moments. 19 years of Harriet's influence will do that." He asked what he should do now, voice small. I stood, walked to the window where the rain was finally easing. Pearl District streets glistened below. "I'll call Tom Greer at Pacific Northwest Capital this afternoon. You'll have a bridge loan by end of week for the vendors and payroll, and I'm sending Kevin to straighten out your operations. It's been a mess for years." Jay blinked hard. "You're my brother," I said simply. "That doesn't change." He stood slowly, taking in the view, the building, the proof of a life built quiet and real. "You've had all this, and you just let me." He couldn't finish. I held the door open. "I let you talk, but I never let it change who I was building to be. You needed everyone to know. I just needed it to be real." He paused in the hallway, turned back. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, man. Should have said it years ago." I nodded. "Get home safe. Roads are slick." The elevator doors closed on him, looking smaller, more honest than ever. I stood there breathing for a minute, then took the stairs up to my private office, the one not on any directory, the one Harriet decorated because my taste is aggressively beige. My phone already had a text from her. "How'd it go?" I smiled, thumbs moving. "He finally knows." 3 dots. "Did it feel good?" I looked out as the Portland sky cracked open, pale winter light cutting through. Russell had basketball tonight. Nora was deep in her Willamette River ecosystem project. Davis wanted tacos with that 8-year-old intensity. I typed back, "It felt like enough. See you at 6. Tell Davis yes to the tacos." I set the phone down. Outside, the city kept moving, streets shining, people going about their day unbothered. Some folks spend their whole lives making noise to feel big. I spent mine building something that mattered in the quiet. And damn, if that didn't feel like the real win. The comments came flooding in that night. I sat in my home office, the lamp casting long shadows across the dark wood desk Harriet had picked out years ago. The faint smell of tacos still lingered from dinner. My phone kept buzzing, but I just leaned back, letting it all settle. People were losing their minds in the best way. The audacity of that New Year's toast, bro. I'm still reeling 19 years? Dry laughs kept slipping out as I scrolled. The truth is, I never set out to make it some big dramatic reveal. I just refused to perform my life for an audience that had already written the script. Upstairs, I could hear Nora laughing. Russell was probably out practicing free throws, that steady thump against concrete I've come to love. Harriet walked in with 2 mugs of tea. She set one beside me, her hand brushing my shoulder. No big words needed. We'd already lived the real ones. I thought about Jay driving home that afternoon, the way his shoulders had dropped when the weight finally hit him. Not pity, not victory, just release. Part of me wondered if he'd call tomorrow, or if the silence would stretch again. Either way, the door stayed open. Family's messy like that. The next morning, the city felt different. Sun broke through the clouds over the Willamette. I stood at the big window, coffee in hand, watching traffic crawl across the bridges. My mind kept drifting back to that boardroom table, the photos still sitting there like evidence in a case that had finally closed. Harriet texted me around lunch about coaching Davis's team. Russell sent a sweaty selfie from practice. Nora sent her ecosystem diagram. My chest tightened in the best way. This was the life I'd guarded. Not for show. For them. Some nights I still sit in the car before going inside, just like I did at Beverly's. Old habits. The porch light glows soft gold. I breathe in the damp Oregon air, smell the neighbor's wood smoke, and feel the solid weight of everything I built without needing applause. Jay's words don't sting anymore. They just feel small now, distant. A week later, my phone rang while I was reviewing contracts. Jay. His voice came through steadier, but still carrying that new raw edge. "Hey man, Kevin's already tearing through the books. Says my back end was a dumpster fire." I chuckled. "Told you." We talked for 20 minutes about real things. Vendors, plans, how Donna was holding up. Small bridges being rebuilt, one careful sentence at a time. I hung up and looked out at the Pearl District. The rain had returned, soft and steady, but the light still found its way through. That's Portland for you, gray as hell, but never completely dark. I thought about how long I'd carried the secret, how heavy it got some years, and how light it felt now that the truth had finally landed where it belonged. Harriet found me that evening in the kitchen, chopping vegetables while Davis helped by stealing carrots. She wrapped her arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder, the familiar scent of her shampoo mixed with garlic and olive oil. "Proud of you," she whispered. I set the knife down, turned, and pulled her close. The kids' laughter echoed from the living room. This right here was the only revenge I ever really needed. Life keeps moving. Some people chase noise to feel seen. I chose the quiet work, the steady build, the kind of love you don't have to announce to make it real. And looking at my family around the dinner table that night, plates full, voices overlapping, I knew I'd made the right call every single time. If you're out there carrying your own quiet empire, protecting something the loud ones never bothered to see, keep going. The table always turns eventually. Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. Hit like if this hit different, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next raw one. Thanks for sitting with me through this. Means more than you know.